Hi, welcome to the Try This at Home podcast, where we drink and review teas, or we eat a tea recipe every week and review them for you. I'm one of your hosts, Mark.
And I'm Katie. It sounds like the tea kettle is whistling, so let's go ahead and get started. Hey guys! Welcome to Try This at Home. Since this is our first episode, we thought we would do something that is not what we're normally going to be doing, which doesn't really make sense, although it seems to be how podcasts work, because you would think that listening to the first episode, you would want to get an idea of the rest of the podcast. But
I mean, we could just do what we normally do, but with chocolate.
Well, that makes it sound like we didn't think this out beforehand, but we did. So yeah, normally we're going to be reviewing tea, but we felt like we should do something special for our, I guess you would call it, pilot episode.
Yes.
So we have some teas, or some chocolates we made with tea in them, because I thought that sounded like a good idea, and Mark went along with it. So yeah, we've got a couple different kinds here. Sadly, we are incapable of remembering what all they are until we bite into them. So you are going to find out along with us.
So while you're getting that, I might as well explain the outline of what we're going to be doing. So we're going to start by introing the tea. We're going to tell you the name and read a description if we can find it. And definitely, if we know what's in it, we'll say that. One thing that we like to note is whether there's artificial flavors listed. We like our teas to be teas and not artificial. Then there's also price, which is fairly self-explanatory. Then we will move on to brewing, how it's brewed, what it's like opening the bag, and the amount of water, and how long, and what temperature of the water. Then we're just going to look at it and say, what does it look like? What color is it? Does it smell like anything? Then, of course, taste it. Taste is probably the most important part.
It's kind of the predominant point of tea, unless you're one of those crazy people who drinks it solely for caffeine, in which case, why are you not? Or health. Health is also a legitimate purpose. If you're drinking it solely for caffeine, though, like, tea is not your most caffeinated thing, typically, but
coffee.
It's your life. You can do what you want.
Yes. And we occasionally will taste it with sugar.
Neither of us overly like sweetener in most of our teas.
Most of our teas. There are a couple that I will drink.
Personally, I don't drink tea if I feel like it needs sugar. I feel like that is a sign that I don't like the tea. But some people like their tea with sugar, and I can respect that.
I occasionally drink things with sugar, but there's 2 or 3 that I will do that regularly. Then if we have the ability to, we will try to taste a rebrew of it. I know some do better with a second brewing than others, but...
And also, yeah. I mean, that's a useful thing to know when buying a tea, because are you going to get 30 cups out of this, or are you going to get 60 cups out of this?
Yeah.
Personally, I'd be a lot more willing to pay a higher price for a tea that I know can rebrew and taste good the second time around.
Yes, and then, of course, we're going to end with pros and cons. So if there's anything that stood out to us, or... Yeah, we'll probably end up recommending most of them, because part of it is because we've got a large tea cupboard.
Indeed.
And we don't buy ones that we don't like.
Typically. We might need to branch out more.
We probably
buy some crazier ones, but we'll see.
For the first little bit. So yeah.
So that's what we would normally be doing if this was a normal episode.
But it's not.
So if you want that, just skip to the next episode. But instead, we're going to be trying and telling you about some tea chocolates we made. So, this first one, it's a white chocolate. We made 2 different kinds of white chocolate, so I'm not entirely sure which one this is, but we're going to find out when we take a bite of it.
All right.
All right. This one had some loose leaf ginger peach black tea in it. This, I think, is the worst out of the bunch. The concept is great, but you're not really getting much of the flavor.
Yeah.
I think based on other ones we tried, I think it would have done a lot better if we used a tea bag, because the more crushed up tea leaves were more likely to diffuse their flavor throughout the chocolate.
Right. So.
That was that bag. All right. Here's another white chocolate one.
This one's going to be a little bit stronger.
This one smells like lavender, so it had better be lavender.
That's the only other white chocolate one we did, I think. So.
All right. This one is lavender.
Definitely a lot stronger.
We also used loose leaf lavender.
Basically lavender buds.
Yeah. It's too strong. If you're going to do this, I recommend crushing them up and using a smaller quantity. But it does look pretty.
It does look very pretty.
As a side note, for all of these, we just melted chocolate in a double boiler on the stove. The last two were strictly white chocolate, which I know is not technically chocolate, but white confectioner melty stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever that's technically called. And put whatever amount of tea we felt necessary in and stuck it in molds.
And after we got done with it, we figured, it probably would have been better if we had steeped it in cream, I think.
Yeah. So maybe you'll get a follow-up episode.
Yes. If we feel
if
like
you
it.
care. And we feel like it. All right, here. This one is a darker chocolate. So it appears to be chocolate chips mixed with the white chocolate.
Yes.
But we'll find out when we take a bite.
Is this the cranberry one?
There wasn't a cranberry one.
There wasn't? Was.
I think this is Earl Grey. Based mainly on the fact that our Earl Grey one didn't have a lot of flavor.
Oh, right.
Which was slightly disappointing, but I think was predominantly due to the fact that, once again, it was larger leaves. And if it had been crushed up more,
Yeah.
would have worked a little better.
Right.
But when you do get the flavor, it's really good with the chocolate.
Ooh, yes.
I strongly recommend if you feel like trying it at home.
Were these different rows, or is that a column?
No, it should be different.
Okay.
All right. Oh, yep. This one, okay. I can tell by the smell that this one is raspberry.
Oh, yes. That's the one I was thinking.
This one is really good, honestly.
Yeah. But I think their raspberry filling or dried raspberries would end up doing better.
I mean, if I was going to go for just a raspberry chocolate, I probably wouldn't go for a raspberry tea chocolate. I would go for one with bits of actual raspberry in it. But this one,
good.
It was from a tea bag, so it was more crushed up.
Right.
And the flavor is fairly strong, raspberry-wise, and it's pretty delicious.
Oh, it is.
So our last one, we need to try to find one we haven't already tried since they're not labeled.
I don't know where that one came from, so.
I think we might have already consumed all of our last one.
There's
Quick
this
note.
one.
Yeah, I think this one's raspberry too, though.
Oh.
But these were all made a week or so ago.
Yes.
And we ate some after we initially made them, after they had cooled enough to eat, and it was not the best experience.
No.
After they sat in the fridge a few days, the flavors melded a lot better, and
Yeah.
it was definitely...
Steep the tea in cream before you make these, if you decide to.
Yeah. Would probably go for that, but if not, at least let them sit for a few days.
Yeah.
Our last one that we appear to have already totally consumed was a darker chocolate with... Did we use spearmint or peppermint? It might have been a combination.
I think we used spearmint.
That one I didn't like all that much. I mean, it was okay, but it was one of those things where it's minty, but it's grainy, and you could have accomplished the mint by just using, like, mint extract. So, also not my highest recommended one.
No.
But if I were going to make a recommendation based on these tea chocolates, I would say do Earl Grey, but use a tea bag. And make the chocolate a little lighter. Ours was too dark, but maybe do mostly white chocolate with some darker chocolate.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would taste almost comparable to a slightly chocolatey London fog. And I just think that would be delicious.
That would be delicious.
So, if you have any excellent tea chocolate recipes,
Or other tea recipes, I guess.
or other tea recipes, would also accept those. Feel free to let us know. And if you enjoyed this podcast, hopefully you'll enjoy future ones. If you didn't enjoy this podcast,
Hopefully you'll enjoy future ones.
either way, this is not really what we're doing in the future. So go on, listen to the rest of them, and then form your opinion.
All right.
Have a great day, guys.